What's up, everybody? My name is Evan, also known as Animal, and welcome to the very first episode of a new podcast called Animal House. Today, I'm flying solo, but in future episodes, I'll have other people from Animal House come join me to talk about a variety of things: Melee, Ultimate, Smash, and other just random reflections of life and experiences we've had in the Smash community. If you don't know who I am, I'm a retired Super Smash Brothers player from Long Island, New York. I started playing around 2006. I was a top 100 level player from about 2014 to 2018. Um, Ranked 1 in Long Island for years. Moved to New York City. Was ranked about top 10 in that PR. I got 33rd at EVO in 2015. And just recently, I was featured in an amazing documentary by Phil and Turned Down for Walt called We Found a Smash Tournament That Almost Never Finished Ever. If you haven't checked it out, go to his YouTube page. It features me, Captain Smuckers, and Toussaint. It's an amazing documentary. And on a future episode, I can dive deeper into that situation that they talk about. And you may also know me for another thing. You may also know me from a video made way back in the day called Top 10 Player Cam Moments by GR Smash. That got 450,000 views, and people still refer to me as that tongue guy because I somehow became the thumbnail of that video. So you may know me from that as well. But if you don't know me, that's totally okay. In a future episode, I plan on doing a more proper introduction. Today, I just want to kind of rant about Battle of BC, just kind of go over and review it, but also rant about the Melee community as a whole, because this episode is inspired by me recently watching an episode of Lights Out. Shoutouts to EE, Cosmos, and Light. They're all incredible and amazing. And they were talking about Battle of BC and Melee for a brief moment, and there's something they brought up that really caught my attention and that I really want to rant about. So if you want to go straight to the rant, you can fast forward the video and go to where I'm ranting about it. But to start off the video, I actually do want to recap Battle of BC because it was an incredible tournament and deserves to be highlighted. So to start off, let's give a big shout out to Cody Schwab winning the entire event in a very dominant fashion. He played like an absolute monster, an absolute machine. He was definitely playing on a different level, and seeing that quality of Melee is inspiring and it's amazing. I mean, he is showing and pushing Fox to its absolute limits, and it's very incredible to see. Now, his run was amazing because he did what he's done before in the past, and that's made an incredible loser's run. I believe he lost in pools to Sunsei. Shoutouts to Sunsei. Absolutely electrifying Fox player. Can't wait to see what he does this year. But his run starts with beating Skurzo in losers, beating Axe in losers, and beating Leffen in losers just to make top 8. All of these wins being 3-0s. Then we get into top 8. And he beat Joshman. I can't wait to talk about that set because that was an amazing set. He beat Joshman 3-1. He beat Mango 3-1. He beat J-Mook 3-1. Beat Zane 3-0. Beat Amsa 3-0. And then for the grand finals reset, beat Amsa again. An absolute masterclass of a performance. Now, as a competitor myself, there's a few things that make a run like this extremely impressive. And one of those things is that when you get into losers, the expectation going into it kind of fades because you kind of have, in a sense, less to lose. There's less expectations on you in that moment. But of course, you are a human being. You're a competitor. You want to be the best. So you put expectations on yourself. And I would say 98% of people will probably put a very subtle expectation on themselves to be satisfied by reaching a certain point. I can speak from my own personal experience. This has happened to me a few times, definitely not every time, but there has been a few major tournaments where I got sent into losers and I said, if I can just make losers final, if I can just make grand finals, if I can just get past this person, I'd be happy. And the second you do that, you're done. You are cooked because you are subtly, it's not like in the forefront of your mind, but you can feel yourself easing a little bit, like taking your foot slightly off the gas pedal, and doing that even slightly will lose you that set and will lose you the tournament. And it's incredible that Cody Schwab was able to do these, what looks like 9 sets without losing any steam, and actually with each set looking more and more dominant. That's very hard to do. You lose a lot of stamina with each set you play. So to play better after each one is just like shows the mental strength of Cody Schwab right now. I mean, he is locked in 100%. And if you go to the grand final set, what also makes this interesting is that Amsa is a type of player and character that you need an incredible amount of discipline to play against. So to not have the mental fatigue of playing against a Yoshi and a player as high caliber as Amsa, where you're not even dropping games, you're relentless. You're not taking your foot off the gas at all. Yeah, I mean, this is a masterclass performance by Cody Schwab. So let's talk about it. So Cody Schwab versus Amsa is very interesting because there's some players where they will make move decisions and have a game plan or gameplay that you watch and you're like, how do you even think of these things? And for that, I think of like someone like Mango. Mango makes move decisions. I'm like, oh my God, I would have never thought of that. You're a genius. When I think of Cody Schwab and I watch Cody Schwab, it's a different type of genius. I watch Cody Schwab play against Amsa and I'm like, oh my God, why doesn't every Fox do this? Everything he's doing makes perfect sense. Like, even as someone who is not an expert in the matchup, although I have played Amsa before, he makes the matchup make sense to me. And watching him, I learn a lot of like how to not invalidate that character, but exploit that character to the fullest capability. When playing against a Yoshi, you have to really be careful with their reversals, how you hit Yoshi, of course. And Cody Schwab is a very, very strategical and tactical of where he places his moves, what move he's placing out, how they're spaced. He has great bears in this matchup. He has great dares in this matchup. Actually, I feel like Dare Shine opens up a lot for him when he's playing this matchup. He has very good awareness of like his up airs and whether his up airs are going to break double jump armor, where to place his up smashes. And he's making a lot of incredible neutral reads. Amsa is a player that's very dynamic and creative because you need to be. Yoshi he makes it look like this is an easy matchup for Yoshi. It's not. It definitely isn't. You need to constantly be switching up your approaches, the way you come through platforms, the way you are kind of spacing and making sure you're not overcommitting. Amsa does an incredible job mixing up these approaches from as many angles as he possibly can. But Cody Schwab still did a great job of never overcommitting too hard, but also calling out with some nice reads and nice neutral reads, calling out some of these options Amsa was doing or just stuffing them outright. I think in this matchup, and in a lot of Cody Schwab's matchups that we'll talk about, Cody Schwab is probably the best Fox, or maybe even Melee player in general I've ever seen in survivability. his survivability, his DI, his slide offs, his recovery is in a class of its own. I don't think we've ever seen it in the history of Melee. And this opens up a ton for him. And I think it allows Cody to be a bit more risky versus a lot of these players because he's so confident in his ability to survive. A lot of other players, when they get hit by AMSA, you know you could be dead. So you might play a little bit more scared. You might play a little bit more timid. But I felt like Cody really played this matchup to a T. Like I said, the drill shines were amazing. Up tilts, back airs, up airs. He had one sequence that was like forward air, down tilt, up air. It was absolutely crazy. So I think the first grand final set, Cody won by 1 stock in every game. And then in the second grand final set, Cody won by 2 to 3 stocks every game. So yeah, just a monster. Shout out to AMSA, by the way. I'll talk about AMSA in a sec. But getting second at that tournament, extremely impressive run from him. Cody versus Zayn. Now, this is a matchup everybody is dying to see whenever it happens. And it does happen a lot. Last year in 2023, we know they played the first to 10 to determine the best player in the world, and Cody won. In semi-decisive fashion, of course, Zayn put up a very good fight, but Cody Schwab did win that. And today, or on this day, when they play, Cody wins 3-0. Now, there's a lot of interesting things about the way Cody plays this matchup. First, I want to say is that I can't remember a time where a player was as dominant in a matchup, like years beyond and leagues beyond every other player in one matchup. Maybe since Leffen's Fox versus Armada's Peach, where he made Armada pick up a secondary Fox, just a Fox ditto. Perhaps that's like a time I can think of, but not even to this degree, because people thought Fox lost this matchup, and Cody definitely proved that's not true. One thing that I find interesting about the way Cody and Zayn play is that Cody, and he admits this himself, does a lot of neutral reads. Like, he does hard read Zayn and call him out in his recovery, in his neutral, and does risky options. And you kind of have to as Fox. Like, you can't just play it safe. Marth can exploit that. Fox can definitely exploit Marth's neutral because Marth has a hard time doing well approaching and moving forward. He has a hard time being in the air and moving forward. And if you're able to positionally force Marth towards the edge, where Marth doesn't have a chance to kind of dash back as much, you like restrict his ability of movement. That's where Fox really shines. Like, that's where Fox really pushes the neutral game and is able to kind of like kick Marth off of stage and get a good edge guard. Now, I think Cody's able to do this confidently because of his confidence in his survivability. He's so confident that he can survive that he's okay with the risk-loss kind of analysis of like, this is risky, but it's worth it. I can get grabbed or punished from this, but it's worth it. And they play so much that he has a very good read on Zayn and his movements. On the other hand, I don't think Zayn makes as many callouts. I think Zayn does play the matchup a little bit safer. And it's interesting because when Cody plays Kadoran, another amazing, second best Marth player in the world, when Cody plays Kadoran, there are times where I feel like Cody actually does struggle. Not in the sense that like he's dropping many sets or it says 50-50 as it is with Zayn, but the style that Kadoran plays is different from Zayn. I think Kadoran is a little bit more willing to do hard callouts and hard reads, and I actually do think that does benefit Marth quite a bit. You need to kind of like stuff Fox in his dash dances, in his approaches. You need to make him hesitate. You need to make him scared to kind of play around your shield. Kadoran, I think, does a pretty good job of that. But obviously, Zane's incredible. One thing I would like to talk about, I want to get Cody on the podcast at some point. And what I want to ask him, because I don't know enough about Marth as well, maybe I can also get Snoo in here to talk to him about the Marth and Fox matchup. But one thing I don't fully understand is when you look at Marth Fox back in the day, not even just with Zane, Mewtwo King, PPMD, The Moon, Pew Pew U. You look at a lot of prominent Marth players back in the day, and if they got a grab on FD, you're getting chain grabbed and juggled basically to death. And what I noticed with Zane is that he's cutting off these combos very early, sometimes even going for like forward smashes on FD at like 60%. It seems like just to push Cody off of stage and into a like recovery type scenario. But I think Cody's recovery is leagues beyond everybody else's. That even if Cody gets like 2 or 3 more neutral opportunities from his recovery, I think that's a difference in winning the game or not. So knowing that, I wonder why Zane doesn't try to carry Cody off the stage more or closer to the edge sometimes, more before going for these recovery setups or edge guard setups, or while he doesn't try a true 0 to death. If I had to guess, I'm sure it's because of Cody's DI. I'm not quite sure how he's DIing to make these like traditional 0 to deaths that you would see normally happen, but I'm curious to see how that evolves, because at the current state of FD and Cody versus Zane, Cody is punishing harder. He's punishing harder, edge guarding more frequently. And if you're winning neutral more and punishing more, yeah, that's a recipe for winning. So I'm curious to see how Zane responds to that. But always an electrifying set. I mean, I'm sure Zane will come back and have a really competitive, really good set with Cody Schwab. And I'm sure they'll exchange sets throughout the year. His set with J-Mook is awesome. Glad to see J-Mook doing really well. J-Mook had a great set versus Hungry Box, an incredibly difficult, it takes a lot of discipline to do that Sheik Puff matchup. So really impressive Game 5 win from J-Mook there, and took a game of Cody Schwab here. Now, I'll be honest. I think the Sheik Fox matchup is trash. I think it's awful for Sheik. I think Sheik's game from like 0 to 60%, or when Fox is at 0 to 60%, what Sheik can't really do a lot besides get stray hits and a grab, because every move that Sheik has can get crouch canceled. And Fox has the mobility to kind of like work around the whiffs that Sheik might throw out, or just straight up crouch cancel. And it becomes, I guess, a guessing game of like, oh, I think he's going to crouch my forward tilt, so I'll just grab instead and get the tech chase. But if you're not getting that grab, and if you're not, hard reading Fox in neutral, your tools for winning, the early game of that matchup is extremely difficult. Once you can knock Fox down, it's easier, but even still, I think Fox has all the tools in the world to destroy Sheik, honestly. So I think it's comforting that J-Mook took a game and made it definitely a good set, although Cody Schwab in general just looked dominant this tournament. But I expect to see J-Mook, they played together a lot as well, so they both know each other. But it's a good sign. It's a good sign that J-Mook made it this far. And it's definitely a good sign that J-Mook beat a bracket demon in someone like Hungry Box, who he struggled with before. So a good set, without a doubt. I'm happy to see J-Mook make it competitive. Now, another great set, another bracket demon, you could say, for Cody Schwab in the past is Mango, because Mango is just electrifying versus Fox. There's no other Falco in the world better at this matchup. He knows all the mix-ups, all the DI traps. He reads all the 50-50s correctly, and he applies pressure. Now, Cody Schwab does a great job in the set. Cody does a really good job maneuvering around Mango's shield. He does a lot of like cross up back airs on the shield. He kind of eats through lasers and tries to like nair through the lasers or drill through the lasers. He gets every conversion off of shine, and any like tech chase conversion he pretty much nails. And it's tough. This is not an easy matchup for Fox. There is no bad matchup for Fox. Let's just be clear on that. There is no bad matchup. But Mango specifically is very good at working around Fox's pressure, working around not getting shined out of shield, and working around playing a pretty tight, not only offensive game, but like Mango's defense is very underrated, especially when Fox is above him. He does a very good job of avoiding like the full hop nairs. But Cody played this really well. He was vertical when he needed to be, but also played Falco horizontally as well, which I think is crucial in the matchup, like to do both. If you just stick vertical, I think Falco can exploit you for sure. But if you mix in some really good neutral movement or a horizontal movement, I think it makes the matchup harder. And yeah, this was also another competitive set. I think Mango is just a tournament or two away from really like unlocking. I mean, if you watch the set versus Amsa as well, he seems like he's right there. And just a few more ounces of like patience and discipline and clearing up some rust. And I honestly think Mango will be back winning some of these tournaments because his Falco's looking very clean, looking very crisp. Just a few things that are off, but still performing really well. And one of the most interesting sets of the tournament was Cody Schwab and Josh Mann. Now, I love Josh Mann. I think Josh Mann is going to have a great year. Maybe, quote me now, by the end of the year, maybe one of the most improved players, really like knocking on that top 5 door. I think it's very possible. And he's incredible at the Fox Ditto. Now, another thing I would like to talk to Cody Schwab about is that I think the Fox Ditto in today's meta is very hard. When I played, like I said, from like 2014 to 2018, I was known as a very aggressive Fox, and I was. And I applied a lot of pressure. But I feel like in today's meta, the defensive options and the defensive capabilities is so much better that like pressure traditionally like on the shield or just like, hitting someone is a lot unsafe it's more unsafe than it used to be. And it's more nuanced and difficult. You have to be very precise. And I think a lot of the pressure comes from just like the way you position. And Cody Schwab and Josh Mann both do a good job. I mean, Fox has so many tools to kind of stuff approaches, like full hop, retreating nair, or even like approaching just to catch someone in their dash dance, or like retreating dares to catch someone coming in, or my favorite, run up shine, very quick, very safe. All great options to kind of stop Fox from approaching, but one of these Foxes you do have to approach. You can't just dash dance forever, and you need to make a read. So you kind of need to really pick your spots and really throw out reads, really like try to protect, with back airs and up air, with up tilt, really like protect your ground, not give up too much space where you're kind of dash dancing yourself into the corner. And both of these players have incredible neutral games where they're able to both kind of play a semi-similar style, both pretty fast, both pretty technical. And I think Josh Mann is very good at the neutral and at punishing. This was a very close set. Only really 3-1 doesn't even give it justice with how close it was. It was just really a few decisions. just one or two decision differences that really separated this set, but Josh Mann could totally win this. I think this is, ironically, this is Fox's worst matchup, which is crazy to say. I know a 50-50 matchup is Fox's worst matchup. That's right, Ultimate Players. I don't think he has a losing matchup. So, like, I understand for Cody why this might be a matchup that seems to be, like, maybe a little bit, I don't think he's bad at it by any means. He's definitely not bad at this matchup, but maybe a little bit more vulnerable where other top-level Foxes could take it, like Aklo has done it in the past. He got knocked into losers by Sunsei. Moki has beaten him in the past. Josh Mann put up a pretty competitive set. So I think it's a hard matchup because you need to make some hard reads and you get punished extremely hard for missing your reads, or even just getting like clipped with a move and just like that other person getting their momentum started could be a stock. So it's a very momentum heavy matchup. But I really liked how both of them played it. Josh Mann was reading Cody's shine stalls very well. And they both punish like madmen. They both punish. Their punish game separates them a lot from the rest. It's really impressive. So yeah, that was Cody Schwab, or most of Cody Schwab's run I wanted to talk about. Some other highlights. Shout out to Salt. I love seeing Salt's Falcon. She is so fast, so precise, electrifying to watch. Took a game off J-Mook. A hard matchup, but I think a doable one. It is tough though. But there is like a hole, like there is a part of me that's like missing Nun. And not saying Salt plays exactly like Nun, but she does have a familiar like explosiveness and creativity that Nun brought, that like she really fills that gap. But also I think she's incredibly precise in her moves, in her movements, in her the way she punishes. She's in her spacing. Yeah, she's incredibly exciting to watch. Shouts to Amsa. Let's not forget, in 2023, Amsa was ranked outside of the top 5 after being ranked second in 2022. So this is like a really nice return to form for Amsa, beating a lot of bracket demons himself. And when I say that, I'm mostly talking about his win over Moki, where I believe Moki has had like the last like 8 or 9 sets in a row versus Amsa. So that's a great win. I could be wrong on that number. I just know it's heavily in Moki's favor. So I wouldn't feel bad about like watching Amsa versus Cody and saying like, oh no, he's fallen off in that Fox matchup. Definitely not. Literally beat Moki in this tournament. And beat Mango, which is Falco, but still looking very clean versus the Spaceys. So Amsa beating Moki, Amsa beating Zane, which is always an interesting matchup, a very tough matchup for Zane, because any character that can crouch cancel or reversal Marth well is going to give Zane some trouble, and Yoshi's an incredible character for that, but their sets are always amazing. And yeah, getting second place at the tournament is absolutely huge. Everybody loves seeing Amsa do well. So that is awesome to see. And shout out to Hungrybox for always kind of being in there, always kind of being in the mix. I think he's showing an impressive level of gameplay, taking J-Mook to game 5. Looking way sloppier versus Zane this time around, but it's a very precise matchup. I don't super blame him for that. I would like to see him optimize some edge guards a little bit better, but I still think he's making every top 8 he double eliminated Cody Schwab at Collision, the tournament before this. So Cody avoided him today. I think Cody would have probably won based on how he was playing, but he makes every top 8, and anyone who faces against them usually pretty competitive besides that Zane set. So shout out to Hungrybox, and of course the GOAT Mango. He'll come back, not worried about it. Always exciting to watch. So that kind of wraps up my thoughts on Battle BC. Shout outs to Cody Schwab. I do believe he's the best player in the world. Definitely showing why he is. And I'm excited to see everybody find an answer, everybody to come back next tournament and look for an answer to see how to stop him. Now, that brings me to my rant. If you fast forwarded to this point and got to the rant, here I am. Or if you're still watching, thank you, appreciate that. But it's time for me to rant because I got some thoughts on the Melee community and their reaction to this tournament. Now, I was watching Lights Out. Again, shout out to EE, shout out to Cosmo, shout out to Light. They're all amazing. Watch Lights Out if you're not watching it. And EE and Cosmos were talking about Battle of BC, and Cosmos was like, oh, I actually even watched Melee. I had nothing to do, and I just kind of kept it on. And EE is like, oh, that's cool. And Cosmos was like, yeah, it was exciting. Cody Schwab made a crazy run from losers to win the tournament. But noted that like people didn't seem that excited about that. And he's like, oh, like, isn't that a hype thing? And it was like, I think so. But there were a lot of complaining about it. And he's like, shut up, you gyms. Like, just be happy your game's still alive 20 years later. And I 100% agree. I got second-hand embarrassment from watching this clip. In fact, this is like a big inspiration of why I made this episode today, because I got secondhand embarrassment reading Twitch chat while Grand Finals is happening, seeing the community reaction to Cody Schwab winning, and even seeing Lights Out talk about like this should be a hype moment. I don't know why gyms are complaining, but they are. So I want to break it down. I want to break down why I think people are complaining, and to see whether it's justified or not. Spoiler alert, I don't think it's justified, but let's get into it. Now, I will make a disclaimer and say that this is coming from a community, and when I say the community, I'm talking about like Twitch viewers, Redditors, people on Twitter that probably are not competitors, probably don't play Melee on that level. They're probably pretty casual, but like the competitive scene. I don't expect this to be the view of actual competitors or actual people who have competed, but it does warrant talking about, because I think with the decline in locals, although the local in New York City is thriving quite well, I think with the decline of locals and less people attending nationals in person or majors in person, they still are, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the viewership is coming from streaming, is coming from watching the tournament from home. I think there is a large community that is pretty casual in their engagement with Melee. So I think this applies to a lot of them. Now, historically, every top player has had haters. That is not new. You can go as far back like Mewtwo King has had haters, of course. Mango had haters. Armada had haters. Hungrybox had haters. Every top player in Melee has had haters on some level. Even if you go to Ultimate, MKLeo had haters. Aquila has haters. Spargo, Sonics, all have haters. And there's nothing wrong with not wanting a player to win, especially if that player, you feel like they've been winning too much and you just want to see it, the landscape shooken up a little bit. And when I went into Cody Schwab's stream the other day, that's kind of what he was saying. He's like, oh, it just comes with the territory of being the top player right now and winning a lot. But in my opinion, I don't think that's the crux of like where people's negativity is coming from, because we just came off of a year where it was so close that it had to be determined by a first to 10 for the first time ever. And yes, Cody Schwab has won Genesis and a few other major tournaments like, Battle BC, Genesis, but Zane just won Collision and Cody Schwab won from losers. So it's not like this dominant reign. It's not like Armada winning 6 majors in a row, Hungrybox being ranked 1 for 3 years in a row, MKLeo and his ultimate run. Like, this isn't like we have winner's fatigue. I don't think that's where the negativity is coming from, because honestly, I don't think the reign has been that dominant. It's actually like very recent and very new still. So I think that's kind of a BS excuse of why the community had such a harsh and negative reaction. Another thing that like people have gotten hate for in the past is their character. It's no secret that Melee is a very fast game, and a player like Hungrybox or Jigglypuff can be a little bit slower. So like when Hungrybox had his 3-year reign, there was a little combination of like winner's fatigue. There was a little combination of how you felt maybe about Hungrybox personally, which is either justified or unjustified, but you know, you can have your reasons, I guess. Or just the fact that it's Jigglypuff and the matchups are a little slower, and when you have a Jigglypuff, especially versus like other floaties, it could be a little boring. Or even versus Fox, if the Jigglypuff is playing a little campy, that play style isn't maybe for everybody. I mean, as a competitor, you do what you have to do to win, and that's my mentality always. But I understand that like if you feel like Jigglypuff and that slower pace is not your cup of tea, I get it. I mean, look at Ultimate. Look at Aquila with Steve. Look at Sonics. I mean, these are their top people in the world. Even Mia with Game & Watch to some degree. These are their top players who definitely get hate, or definitely it's kind of like understood that's a little less hype when they are in these top 8s because of the way their character plays. But again, this doesn't apply to Cody Schwab. Cody Schwab is playing Fox on a level never before seen. The highest and greatest Fox to be seen up into Melee's 20-year lifespan. His movement is insane. He's very fast. He's very technical. He makes a lot of reads in neutral. He is not campy at all. His gameplay and what is happening on the screen is electrifying. And, you know, of course, I might have a little bias as being a Fox main myself and actually even knowing Cody from the region. But just objectively, Fox is a dynamic character, and it's always fun watching a Spacey go up against other characters because you know there's going to be some explosive combos, either them getting comboed or doing the combo. But it's fun, it's fast-paced, and what's happening on the screen is amazing. Yoshi versus Fox is a super fun matchup, especially when it's AMSA. I mean, you are watching you're watching two characters just go crazy. They can both combo each other to death, especially AMSA onto Fox or Yoshi onto Fox. So to have like viewership drop, and the comments I was reading in Twitch chat while this was going on had nothing to do with the gameplay. It had nothing to do with like, wow, like Cody's playing lame. It had a lot more to do of like, man, I'm gonna be honest, I just hate Cody, and that's messed up. So gameplay has nothing to do with it either. So what it boils down to for me is kind of like what I was just alluding to, and that is this like hatred towards Cody that seems to be happening. And I don't know how deep it actually is, and I will say, you have every right to dislike a player or not root for a player. 100% that's your right. I don't root for every player. It might surprise you. I actually even like when Zane plays versus someone like Cody, I root for Cody. I don't tend to root for Zane, and that's okay. I think Zane's a hilarious personality. I think he's one of the coolest marts we've ever had. But I just don't root for him. But you could have whatever reason you have to not root for a player. That's fine. You have a player you want to win. But if they don't win, you can't say Melee's dead. You can't say Melee, this isn't fun, this isn't exciting, this isn't good for the game. Because that just shows you don't love the game. If you're seeing Cody Schwab and AMSA in grand finals versus each other, two electrifying players, and Cody Schwab putting on a master class, you don't love the game. It's that simple. And I feel like where a lot of this hatred is coming from, or negativity is coming from, is that people are mad, or people don't feel like Cody Schwab is an entertainer or has like enough charisma or whatever. He's too squeaky clean. Feelings like this. And that is absurd. As a competitor myself, as someone who wanted to be as good of a competitor as you could possibly be, that is the last thing on my mind. Now, it could be a little different from Cody if he's looking for like sponsors and streaming and content, but that is not on a player's mind of how much of an entertainer am I being right now. His job is to win. The E in esports is not entertainment. This is not the WWE. What are we talking about here? He's not even a controversial figure. It's not even like he's on Twitter saying outrageous things. He's just a normal dude playing the game, and he's like a pretty nice dude. I mean, if you knew Cody when he first started the scene and going through the scene in New York, definitely, if someone said like, oh, he kind of rubs me the wrong way, he could be a little too arrogant sometimes, I could see it. I mean, I'm sure if Cody's watching this, he wouldn't even necessarily disagree that when he was younger, he was a little rougher around the edges. But he's a grown adult, and he's matured, and he's a fine, nice individual. He's a good guy. And I don't think people think he's not a good guy. I think everyone does think he's a good guy. The problem that people seem to have is that he's just like, to them, quote unquote, like not as likable, not as charismatic. And that's a crazy reason to there's one thing again to not be happy that someone won. That's fine. It really is. But it's another thing to spread hatred actively in the Twitch chat where viewership is dropping because he's in grand finals, where the Twitch chat is filled with negative, hateful comments enough where EE and Cosmos are talking about it on their podcast. That's an embarrassing look for Melee. It is. It's a bad look. Shout outs to Slime and Ludwig. Slime and Ludwig were watching the tournament. They were live streaming it. And Ludwig had a lot of emotional investment in Zayn. It's a moist mogul. It's one of his players. And to his credit, when Zayn lost, he was like, I don't want to watch Grands. And Slime's like, come on, man. Like, we love Melee. Like, it's going to be good. It's going to be fun gameplay. He has a lot more emotional investment in the game than you do, the average viewer. He literally hired or signed a player to his esports team. And he still watched grand finals and was able to say wow, Cody playing good. Wow, Cody looking unbeatable today. Able to just appreciate what's happening. And there was a lot of people in their chat who try to give him that BS of this is boring, we hate Cody Schwab. And Slime shut that down. Slime was like, you probably can't even tell. If I showed you 5 sets of Josh Man and 5 sets of Cody Schwab, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, the average viewer. And he's 100% right. His gameplay is not lame. It's not boring. It's really good. It's really dynamic. And people are just hating for the sake of hating. So Slime said, imagine if this was your friend. If your friend was doing this, would you feel differently? If the answer is yes, then shut up. And that's 100% the point. You could feel disappointed. You don't have to express your disappointment and bubbling it down to you just hate Cody in Reddit posts and Twitter posts, saying that he's killing the game, saying all whatever outrageous stuff. If some of this is coming from a place of the person you just wanted to win didn't win, it's okay. And it's okay to feel even disappointed. But this hatred and this visceral reaction is toxic for the community. And it really just shows you don't love the game. You really don't, because Cody is a great player for our community. Not only as a player, but as a person too. He's a stand-up person. So Slime did a good job of calling that kind of behavior out. He said, go to the Reddit thread if you want to do that, but don't do that here. And I'm saying too, I don't want to see it. I don't like seeing it. There's no reason to bring personal hatred because you don't feel someone's entertaining enough. You don't know Cody. Cody never did anything personal to any of you for you to hate him, like actually hate him. I literally saw a Twitch comment that was like, yeah, it's one of the best movements in the game, or he has one of the best movements in the game, but honestly, I just hate him. That's ridiculous to express that and to be like, yeah, I just hate this dude. Why? Like, it's not a good reason to like drop the viewership, to make the chat toxic. It's not a good reason. And if you do feel that way, shut up. Like, why do you have to voice your opinion no one cares about? You don't understand the level it takes to get to where Cody is. And to any of these top players, Zane, Amsa, Mango, the level of skill and the level of commitment it takes to be this good deserves respect. And like, I think Cody isn't getting the respect he deserves. Even if you are not happy he won, you don't have to say Melee is dead. It's not dead. We've been alive for 20 years. Heck, we survived a 3-year run of Hungrybox getting rank 1. No hate to Hungrybox. I like you, Hungrybox. I've had you over my house. We've played before. But like, you could understand why people saying like a Puff get rank 1 for 3 years could like be annoying for some people. But it's what, we're fine. We were great. We grew a lot during that time. So many players got good during that time. We are coming off a year where Cody and Zane were virtually tied for the best player in the world. This is extremely exciting. It's extremely exciting time to be a Melee fan. And Cody Schwab's a big reason for that. And he's going to continue to be. So this hatred and negativity towards Cody Schwab because he doesn't have enough charisma for you, you don't feel as an entertainer, he's entertaining enough for you, it's ridiculous. It shows you don't really care about what's happening on the screen. You don't appreciate good gameplay enough. And it's frustrating. As someone who's, I've invested a good portion of my life into the scene. Like I said, playing since 2006. And even, obviously before I even discovered the competitive scene before that. It's frustrating to see legitimate hype gameplay. Cody Schwab versus Amsa, a treat, a gift to get whenever you can get it. Be just like brushed to the side as like, oh my God, this tournament's over. Cody made grand finals, forget it. Not watching, turning off. It's sad. It's really sad. And again, I don't want to make it seem like this is the whole Melee community. 100%. The people who have ever picked up a controller, they know how sick Cody is. Whether you want to root for him or not, they respect Cody. They respect his gameplay, and they know what it's about. And I'm sure some of the Twitch chat viewers do as well. Not everyone makes a comment. It could be a vocal minority, if you want to call it. But when it's enough where another podcast that knows about Melee but's not like into Melee like that brings it up as like, people weren't hyped about this. I'm not sure why. It's a bad look. And there's no reason to bring that negativity onto ourselves. One, for a player as great as Cody, like him or not. And two, when the scene is actually doing incredibly well and the competition is at an extremely high level across the board and a lot of people fighting for that number 1 spot. So, to conclude, it's fine to be disappointed, but just respect the gameplay, respect what's happening. And if your favorite player, I'm a Met fan. My favorite team hasn't won literally in my entire life. I still root for them. I get disappointed when they lose. I don't hate other teams for it. I don't hate other people for it. And there's no reason for you to as well. Take Slime's advice. Next time you see Cody doing well, think to yourself, if this was my favorite player, if this was my friend, would I be hyped about this? If the answer is yes, keep that perspective in your mind. If the answer is no, I don't know. You might might be a miserable person or something. Not sure. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the Melee community. I'll probably be back with a full group of guys. We got Cody, we got Honey Badger, we have Baja as well, that all are going to jump on to the podcast and make an appearance. Talking about Ultimate, talking about Melee, talking about our origins. I want to get in here and rant, so I hope you kind of enjoyed the video, enjoyed my thoughts. And I'll see everybody on the next video. Thank you very much. Subscribe, like, and catch you later.